It was the 90s. The X-Men had entered a new era where Chris Claremont had been paired with the famous artist Jim Lee. Back then, Jim Lee was a rock star, a young rock star, making headway in the comic book industry with his phenomenal, unique artistic approach towards our favorite superheroes, particularly the X-Men, the Punisher, and others. But sadly, due to editorial policy that was laid down by Bob Harris at the time, that resulted in the departure of the best X-Men writer, Chris Claremont, from Marvel Comics, and he won't return up until the next decade. But upon his departure, a new team of writers and artists came in. Jim Lee had left Marvel to form his own Image Comics company. So the 90s, I think, culminated into one of the best X-Men lineup, and here I'm talking about not just the X-Men team, because you had the Uncanny X-Men, which represented the gold team, you had the X-Men, which represented the blue team, and then you had X-Factor, X-Force, you had Excalibur, and that resulted in one of the best stories that I have ever read. Of course, the storytelling is not as equivalent to what Chris Claremont would have done, but it was the second best, and it was really worth reading. It has had the best impact on my life. What I understand from this is what made me realize that why am I making this video right now? It's because 30 years ago, X-Men were celebrating their 30th anniversary. And the way Marvel had planned out the entire anniversary year, not only for them but also for Avengers and some of the best stories that would come about. This was the time when we not only saw Fatal Attractions, which was an inter-X community crossover, but also we saw X-Men and Avengers joining forces and facing off against Magneto's acolytes. The build-up that was made by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee, the build-up for that, the consequences of that event whereby the X-Men actually go to Avalon and face off against Magneto and his earlier batch of acolytes. Magneto comes back with a vengeance. The beauty about this anniversary event was that people often condescendingly call it the gimmick covers era and stuff like that, but for me it was something really beautiful. Why? Because we were getting these 6 issues of one story over in different titles, starting from X-Factor 92 and ending up in Excalibur number 71, and each one of them would be having a hologram card that would be related to that particular title, and those were based on beautiful artworks. Joe Quesada, who recently retired from Marvel, he was back then a comic book artist for X-Factor. You have Greg Capullo, he had his a very different artistic approach, and then you have people like Andy and Adam Kubert, sons of Joe Kubert, their artwork being converted into a holographic card. So many things. John Romita Jr. was there. And then there were other limited series like the Deadpool limited series and Sabretooth limited series. Fortunately, I have a lot of comics from this particular year, which was 1993. And as we are sitting here in 2023, I thought why not I should tell you guys a little bit about this particular event. And in my next video, I'm going to be telling you what was done exclusively for the Avengers. I hope you guys like this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Like this and share this with your loved ones.